Welcome back, welcome back. In this module, we're going to talk about initial coin offerings, ICOs, and getting alternative currencies onto the exchange. A couple things that I want you guys to recognize about new coins on the exchange. It often goes one of two ways. It hits the exchange, like this one back April 9th of 2015, and it doesn't do a whole lot. Not a whole lot going on. The market really is taking some time to establish itself, and then it gets tested, gets some buyer support, able to make a lot right in here, comes back down, finds its new level of support and resistance, spikes, and now we kind of have an active coin, which a lot of people are able to make daily profits on, and it's a good long-term coin, XEM is. So a lot of times it'll come in, it'll just flatline and sit there. One of the things that we see very often, though, and we're just going to pick a couple coins. Let's start with CIS. Let's see if it happened with CIS. A lot of times when you have an ICO, here is the process. ICOs usually come by through crowdfunding. So if somebody comes out and says, hey guys, we're developing a coin, here's what it's for, here's why it's cool, you should invest in it. And when you invest in it right now, guess what? You're going to get X amount of coins free, plus we've got a referral program, and for the next XYZ amount of days, for the amount of people you refer, you get commissions off those paid in tokens, and you're going to build up this accumulation of coins. You can buy more right now at the current price. Next week, each week goes up more and more and more. They get people to invest. They get multiple people to invest. They have affiliate links to refer people in exchange for referring. They give you a bonus on the referrals that you get. It gets hyped up and hyped up and hyped up and hyped up. It's on a bubble. It gets overbought prior to hitting the exchange, and then it hits the exchange. Massive bear market, and then it takes a fair amount of time for it to find its place, find its support, find its resistance, go through a breakout, go through a breakdown, and create opportunities for profits. So let's see what happened with CIS, and we might see an example of that. And we did. So look at what happened here. Overbought, clearly overbought. It's one of two things happened here. It was clearly overbought on the hype phase before hitting the exchange. It was on a bubble. Couldn't sustain that. It hits at 7,163 Satoshi, which back then wasn't too much, but in today's value, 7,100 Satoshi would definitely be around 75 cents, 247, be about 90 cents, a dollar, somewhere in there. So in today's value, it would have been a dollar when it hit. Back then, it wasn't anywhere near $13,708 of Bitcoin, so that's not what happened. But massive tank. One of two things happened here, and it could have been a combination of both. On a huge bubble prior to it hitting the exchange, it's overbought, gets accepted into the exchange, massive tank, has to find its place in the market. It kind of has a little bit of, upwards, down. We do have some buyer-seller support in here, and zooming in, there are some trade profits to be had in here, little ones, and then recently, a lot of good activity we could make some profits from. Well, it either got overbought here and massively dropped when it hit the exchange, or the developers of the coin held a large amount of it. We've talked about this before in the previous module. Developers of the coin held a large amount of it, and when it hit the exchange, they released that, and it became so massively and widely available, there was a greater supply than there was a demand for it, and it devalued the coin, receiving no buyer support. And that's what happened, one of those two things. So that brings up points about ICOs. Usually they are formed through crowdfunding, okay? That's the first thing you need to know. The next thing is, if you're thinking of investing in an ICO, is it a copycat? Did developers simply take the code of Bitcoin or Ethereum or Litecoin, simply copy it and say, hey, we have a new coin? Or is there something revolutionary about it? Is the transaction speed in which you can send and receive transactions so much faster than everything else available? Has it received endorsements from companies like Microsoft or Apple or Amazon? Does it have any major publications? Is it in the news? Is it sponsored by the Olympics? Is there any sort of innovation or innovative feature about it that makes it better than the other coins out there? And for me, if it's not something that's innovative, if it doesn't have some sort of feature benefit for the public, and it doesn't have an overall good reputation based on the people developing it. If they've had any prior work in the past that has really gone bad, or where there were any scams that took place, red flags, crossed it off the list, not going to invest in it. But I will say, a proper ICO with proper research can make you a ton of money, because if you do have the opportunity to hit it on the exchange, for example, I have a couple ICOs where I own for 2 cents a coin, and I have one coming up that's anticipated to hit the exchange at about $2.80. I own about 50,000 of these coins, and I stand to make an awful lot of money if, when it hits the exchange, it's not on a massive bubble or by the time it hits, and if there's not a huge release into the market by the developers if they hold the majority of the coin or a large portion. It seems to me that that is not the case. I think it will be a successful ICO. Some things to take note of, though. There's oftentimes a pre-market bubble that will cause it to go way down on the exchange. And then the other part that you have to think of is, how do we get it over onto the exchange? Because when ICOs happen, you've got Bittrex, you've got Poloniex, which are the main two exchanges with the highest volume, but you also have other exchanges as well. And oftentimes they won't hit big exchanges such as Bittrex or Poloniex right away. If they do, then great. But if not, you need to be actively involved with the community that's developed that coin and their news, and asking questions and saying, hey, which exchanges are you going to apply to be accepted in first, so I know, so you know, I can obviously get some return on my investment and make some money. So which exchanges are you going to hit first? If they say Poloniex, Bittrex, and you don't have one of those accounts, better go make one. If they say another exchange, better go make one. Familiarize yourself real quick, so that way when it does hit that exchange, you're able to take it from your current ICO wallet and put it on the exchange. And here's how you would do that. You see wallet, this is going to be available on every chart. What this shows is that you can simply paste the wallet address in here and get it onto the exchange. So see this right here? Depositing tokens to this address other than SYS will result in your funds being lost. Once again, make sure only send Bitcoin from an exchange wallet into Bitcoin of another wallet. Only send Bitcoin of a Coinbase wallet into Bitcoin of an exchange wallet. Only send SYS from an external wallet into SYS of the exchange. So it's coin for coin. It's got to be the same coin. So you generate an address. It will generate an address for me. I'm going to take this address. I'm going to copy it. This is my receive address to get SYS coins from an exterior wallet into my SYS coin wallet on the exchange. So ICO hits, it's available on the exchange. I get my wallet address for SYS coin in here. I go over, I grab my SYS coin wallet in the ICO, I paste this wallet address in there, boom, I enter the amount of coins, it's in there, boom, I go over, I look at the market on it, if I'm going to make something on it, okay, great, it's going up, awesome, I only own these coins for 2 cents a piece and I have 1 million of them, it's at 54 cents right now, boom, sell, 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 sell. And very quickly, everybody else that's doing that's also going to sell the market down. But if you can get it in there, and if you can slip it in the proper timing immediately, you will make tons of money. If the coin is not on a bubble on the ICO, it's not overbought, and it doesn't have the developers releasing tons into it. How do you avoid that? Do research on your ICO. Make sure that it doesn't have some sort of copycat features about it. Look to make sure it's innovative. Look at the reputation. Look at forums. Look at what Google says. Look at who's endorsing the coin. Look at what the news says about it. Look at why the coin is coming about, why it's invented, what the purpose is, what they created the coin for. Is it innovative, or is it somewhat of a caveman feature? Is it nothing new? Okay? So it's either going to have a pre-market bubble and it will be sold down immediately, which is okay, because look what almost always happens. As long as it's an active, volatile, volume-based coin, heck, you don't have a thing to worry about. You just won't make your money right away. But other coins, like XEM, for example, if you invested into the XEM ICO, back when that happens, let me go into Bitcoin markets here, click XEM. I believe this is the opposite. I believe XEM did pretty good. Let's take a look real quick. Load, 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 load. Let's go. I don't got time to wait. I got to make Bitcoin. And you can see it's actually gone down. It's 13.6 now. It was 18.3 the other day. So great time to buy altcoins with anticipation that they are about to go back up for the most part. Okay, let's go out to our 1 month calendar, month by month, and take a look at the data that it has to show us. XEM, very active coin, 4,468 in volume, 1 month. All right, show me what you got, XEM. XEM, no, it did the same type of thing. Let's look at XLM real quick and see. XLM, and maybe this was the coin that I had remembered earlier, hit the exchange in a much different way. And that one actually kind of just flatlined. It didn't really do anything, so nobody lost anything. There were micro profits in there for a little bit of time, but often, sometimes they hit good. There was a coin recently, Electronium. There was a huge hype on it for just a couple weeks. It was only a couple weeks. It was all over Facebook, and it did pretty dang well. On the exchange, it hit at like 47 cents. It went down to 23 cents, but it took like 4 days for it to go down to 23 cents. So you had a decent opportunity to make some money, being as if you got in on the initial ICO, it actually had some pretty decent pricing where it was only 2 to 5 cents. So you can see a lot of times they just hit and they tank. So it's not always going to be right away that you get your investment back. Let's look at Scicoin, for example. SC markets, SC. Let's see what this one did. I'm trying to find an example of a coin that actually went up or kind of leveled and then went up fairly quickly. Scicoin, another good coin to invest in. Pennies. Pennies, pennies, pennies. Very good coin to invest in for the long-term haul, standing to make quite good profits. All right. And once again, another time where it just, boom, plummeted. And that's often what happens with ICOs. But you can make money with them. If you poke around here, you will find coins that you will make money with. This is one, I have no idea what this one even is, but let's take a look and just see. Oh, cannabis coin. Okay, well, a lot of these marijuana industry coins are actually good, just considering how volatile this industry is and how it's being legalized everywhere. I'm not making political statements on anything like that. I don't partake in activities like that. But from an investment standpoint, well, heck, you can make a little bit of money from it depending on what your morals are and things like that. Up to you. 1 month, let's go back out. Let's see what happened with cannabis coin. And this is another thing where we can see in here where it kind of hit, but this one didn't appear to be on a bubble. And this one didn't appear like the developers of the coin released a whole bunch into the market. But if you look, 14 Satoshi, and it spiked up to 15,184 Satoshi. There is a great example. There is a great example of a coin that did well. It hit the exchange right in here. It opened, went down for a second, came right up. Everybody said, hey, we like weed. They bought up the market. It came back down. Didn't have a whole lot of volume. People were like, wait, dude, what's going on? Like, what am I even doing? And then they're like, bro, look, let's buy it. And they bought it. They bought it way up. Don't know if that was don't know what they're doing there, but they bought it way up, okay? And it came way back down. This is a very significant sign that it was overbought, right? It came back down. But this is an example of a successful ICO that if you would have had the chance to invest in prior to it hitting the exchange for pennies and pennies and pennies and pennies, well, you would have made a significant amount that first day. And then, let's see, 8-9, 9-8, 10-8, 2 months later, your guy taking a hit off of a bong, making millions of dollars is likely what a few people did here, okay? So that's an example of a successful ICO. Let's talk about converting your Bitcoin into cash if you choose to do so, and Bitcoin Visa cards. See you in the next video.